Hello, and welcome to episode number 444, I believe. Yes, of the TEW Tradeaway Challenge run. So, on Raw, I said that, there's 2 weeks of Survivor Series, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty fine, because things have already started to be built towards it. Now on ECW, I was like, things are pretty fine towards the build of Survivor Series. I've been putting things in place for a while, it's fine, I only have 2 weeks. Now I've got to SmackDown. And, yeah. I hope you like a certain division on this show, because I've got a lot of stuff to pack into 2 weeks worth of television, as you'll see. I probably would say, we probably would have announced that, the first hour of this show would be commercial free, because I've got a segment I want to do that I don't really want interrupted by ads, if it was real. Yes. Yeah. But we do have a main event tonight, and that is Asuka versus Bianca Belair, which is interesting now based on the ending of Cyber Sunday. Or Cyber Saturday, as it turns out, because this is the first time I'm recording since I've realised that I actually held Cyber Sunday on a Saturday. But yes, that's enough rambling. This is already going to be long enough as it is. Oh yeah, we also have a new United States Champion last week, in case you missed that. So Asuka beat Pete Dunne, and Seth Rollins came back. So, the blue brand is the place to be right now, I get a lot of comments all the time saying that people's favourite brand is ECW. And I also like ECW because it's, the easiest show to book. Because, I can fill out match cards ahead of time because it's only got 2 hours. People take a week off. But in terms of storyline progression, SmackDown is my favourite show so far. Because, yeah, a lot of stuff's happening. Without further ado, though, it's been 2 minutes of rambling. Let's finally jump into the show. This segment is... I've split it into 2 parts in the game. Because it would probably take about 25 minutes. IRL. It might even take that long in the video. But we get a recap of the end of Cyber Sunday. And Candice LeRae, she opens the show after she came back at the end of the show. And she takes the mic and she's like, boy, it sure does take me back to better times earlier this year with me standing in here to open up the show. Okay, let me see if I can remember how to do this. Okay, it's welcome everybody to Friday Night SmackDown. It's like, well, Cyber Sunday was a very interesting event. The landscape of SmackDown largely stayed the same because apparently the blue brand is being held captive by hostile champions who can't win a match by themselves for either the men or the women. Montez Ford, he's not exempt from this either, but he's not really anything I can do about that, but, he's not really a fighting champion either. Because just look at his wife, and that tells you all you need to know about that family, because let's break the elephant in the room, okay? I've been away for 5 weeks. Because, Bianca Belair at NXT, not NXT No Mercy, that was real life, WWE No Mercy, she took me out, put me through the announce table right there, and it was that moment when I realized that, despite me not liking Bianca on a personal level, she is vicious now. This is not the same happy-go-lucky Bianca Belair that we knew for so long. I remember this side of Bianca in NXT. But I do need Bianca Belair to come to the ring right now, because this whole petty squabble is nothing compared to the bigger picture here on SmackDown. Bianca doesn't come out. She goes, yeah, I figured that, Bianca, despite me coming to save her, but on Saturday night, wouldn't come out here and, at least humor me and listen to what I got to say, because Bianca, you're part of this. But as I don't want to admit that you are, we need to, at least temporarily, because, that beating is coming your way, but more important things are going on SmackDown right now.
I'm on my own, against the wall. The pressure's building, but no, I will never fall. Instead of crying, they hear me roar.
Bianca Belair comes out, and she sort of just stands in the ring, just glaring at Candice. And she goes, Girl, I'm out here because I want to be out here, not because you asked me to be out here. Candace goes, yep, sure, okay. Whatever you want to tell yourself, at least you're out here. Because... And she offers a handshake out to Bianca Belair. And she says, I know it's been 3 months of us wanting to rip each other's heads off, and trust me, looking at you now after what you did to me, making me miss over a month, I still want to do that. But we need a truce. Because the queendom problem here on SmackDown, it concerns me, it concerns you, it concerns Dakota, it concerns Asuka. Okay, they're making a lot of enemies, but, they keep pulling new members out, and they've got the numbers advantage, even if it is 4-on-4 because of, Cammy at ringside. So, we need to work together, they say the keep your friends close and your enemies closer, Bianca. That's sort of what we have to do right now, because without each other's help, Queendom will end up taking over this entire division. But if we can put this to the side for one night is all I propose, then maybe we have a shot. Bianca says, girl, you must be mistaken, little Candace, because I don't need your help, okay, because I don't know about you, but I have been given my match against Io. Me and Io have never wrestled one-on-one for the title, okay? As far as I'm concerned, this little queendom problem out here is not a problem that concerns me. And Candace's like, well, it does, whether you want to admit it or not. Bianca, you're one of their targets as well. Ever since you were up for pole at Cyber Sunday, you were one of the targets of queendom. Ever since you come out here every week and interrupt Io, you're one of the targets of queendom. Ever since you even look or think about becoming the women's world champion, which I know you do, you're an enemy of queendom. Because if I can't get through to you, Bianca, I understand that I probably wouldn't, but I'm gonna need Dakota and Asuka to join us out here, because they need to be a part of this as well. Asuka and Dakota do come out, and Dakota just stood around lingering, like she's still upset after what happened at Cyber Sunday. She goes, now look, nobody gets you to how you feel more than I do, okay? You were both wronged by queendom. Back in July, I lost. Io won that title from me because of Cammy's misdemeanor and interference. At SummerSlam, Utami came out, cost Asuka, and then beat Dakota. It's been twice now. And I know how you felt. You felt just like me. You felt worthless. You felt hopeless. You felt there was nothing that could be done to combat Io and this never-ending army of, minions that she's got guiding her. But there is a way. Girls, there is a way we can get back at queendom. It involves me, it involves you, and yes, Bianca, it involves you as well. Because you see, we are only 8 days away from Survivor Series. And with 2 plentiful teams like these, Survivor Series is the perfect time of year to prove who truly runs the SmackDown Women's Division. So, Bianca, I once again propose a truce for Survivor Series. Bianca sort of looks at Candice's handshake, looks across at Asuka and Dakota, sort of like looking at her.
Bow down to the queens.
When Queendom come out and they stand on the ramp. And Cammy Sesh goes, oh, welcome back, Candice, I guess. Okay, see, look at you. You're giving it a lot of big talk and a lot of motivational speaking for somebody who is a loser. Okay, the last time we dealt with you, Okay, we thought you were gone for good. We established back then that you can't beat Io Sky. Okay? Now, Utami Hayashishita, of course, the heir apparent, you did beat her back when you were the champion, but that was the old Utami, not the new Utami. And you seem to think that this collection of misfits has a chance against the most well-oiled group here on SmackDown. Okay? We're inseparable. Okay? We don't lose. Okay? That's not what happens when you step in the ring with Queendom. So, if you want to step into the ring with Queendom at Survivor Series, then, well, have at it. Because I look in the ring and I see, Bianca, we haven't quite got to you yet, because quite frankly, you haven't done anything to deserve a title opportunity. But I see 3 other victims of the Genius of the Sky, the woman to my right, the Joshi Judas, during this Women's World Championship reign. I don't know how many times she's got to beat you over and over and over again. So maybe if we go to Toronto and we put the platform on one of the biggest events of the WWE calendar, with all the eyes of the world watching, then you'll realize that there are levels to this game, and you all individually and as a group are below us. Because SmackDown's our show. SmackDown's been our show that we rule with an iron fist. Okay? Because you don't have the power to have such a well-oiled group as this watching your back. It doesn't mean that, you can make one out of thin air of a bunch of clashing egos. But mind you, why even wait till Survivor Series? I say, Asuka, you win? Asuka's of course in. She goes, Dakota, you seem out of it, but trust me, kicking their heads off will be the remedy you need. And Bianca, are you in? Bianca looks across at Queendom and then looks back at Candice. And Cammy goes, Bianca, see, look. You don't have to accept this, okay? Look at her, okay? Look at how desperate she is for your help. Does that not vindicate everything that you've been saying about her over the last couple of weeks? She's a loser. She's not worth your time. You know what is worth your time? Bianca. A championship opportunity. And if you defy the Genius of the Sky and Queendom, you're never going to get those wins you need to become a championship contender. So really think about the decision you want to make here. Bianca just sort of looks across at Queendom, looks across at Candice, and she goes, Girl, what you were saying? You wanted to form a truce for Survivor Series? Put these hard feelings aside and whoop their ass? I'm in. She slams the mic down, and then the 4 baby faces storm up the ramp. Queendom storm down the ramp as well. They brawl all around the ringside. It goes on for like 5 minutes. Like chaos, referees and road agents and shit come out. They all just get knocked out as well. And finally Adam Pearce storms out. And he goes, Enough! I've had enough of this fighting, okay? It's bad enough I've got people on my show to worry about for who's going to represent SmackDown at Survivor Series. Okay? This is getting out of hand. And if one steel cage wasn't enough to contain all the animosity in this division, well, hell, maybe 2 will be. Because, girls, I'm sick of the games. So at Survivor Series, you all need to find one more partner, and you will both meet in War Games. Big pop. But they don't even really listen. They're still just fighting around ringside. And then a bunch of security storm out and separate them. The babyface is in the ring, Queendom on the ramp. So yeah, a lot to unpack here. When I did Starrcade back in May, I believe it was, I did 2 War Games matches on that show. Because I was like, I don't like that Survivor Series has to be when War Games happens every single year, because it becomes Hell in a Cell syndrome. So, that Starrcade show was only basically semi-canon anyway. But I felt this fell naturally because, there was a steel cage at Cyber Sunday. It's the same women who've been fighting for opportunities all for like fucking months. It's a big main event. The other matches, this is going to be the only War Games. Because I do still want to do traditional Survivor Series tag matches as well, because I think you can have both. But, I do stand by that they shouldn't just do Survivor Series every year at War Games, because then it becomes, contrived and forced. That's the same thing. But, you can see, we've got to start planning now for War Games. But you kind of have to for Survivor Series every year, I guess. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But as transparent as I can be right now before the pay-per-view, I didn't want to do elimination because elimination means that multiple people will have to eat pins. So, War Games in that regard also felt better for this specific match than a regular elimination match. So yeah, they've both got to find an extra partner. Because it is 5v5. Who will either side pick? Opening match of the show comes about half an hour into it. Aussie Open and Death from Above, we announced last week. The former Cruiserweight Trios champions coming over back to SmackDown. Pretty much full time since they lost their belts. And they pick up a win. Because, the SmackDown tag division could really use Death from Above. Because they're scoring 82s and 92s. Aussie Open are good, but they're just not popular right now. The Creeds are a project. And other than that, it's just a bunch of lower card comedy bit tag teams. So, I really need to inject Death from Above back in. That's why I've been trying to take the belts off them for so long. Because, I think it was back at SummerSlam, I was going to put them on the Japanese guys, but then I didn't call them up, so that would fuck with the lineage. And then that happened again with... When else did that happen? Was it... Oh, it was the Angelico team, I believe. Yeah, but now I finally took them off them. They're on LA Extreme right now. And, yeah, Metal League and Lindsay are back in the tag division here on SmackDown. And they get a tag win over Aussie Open. Metal League driver on Kyle and Rogers in 1445. We then cut backstage. And the babyface... I guess babyface, because Bianca is on it, but it is still technically the babyface team, are in their locker room regrouping after the War Games announcement. And she goes, I'm so glad we managed to, get all that animosity out. God, I've been holding that in for 5 weeks, okay? Because, I've been away, recovering, she says, looking at Bianca. She goes, but you watch your mouth, I'll put you straight back out there, okay? Like I said, this is a truce, okay? Doesn't mean I like you. I still want to rip your head off. She goes, yeah, same, it's coming. But Pierce said we need to find another member of our team. And Bianca just laughs. She goes, well, Pierce must be dumber than he looks. Because, girls, there's already 5 of us in here, okay? Chikara is right there, ready to stand in to be our 5th member of Survivor Series War Games. They go to sort of a look at Chikara. And Candace just laughs and goes, girl, you must be dumber than you look. She goes, what's that supposed to mean? And she goes, look. I know you love Chikara, that's your girl, right? She sure does, everything, all your little bidding for you, like a little puppet. But she's not a War Games competitor right now. In a few years, maybe she can get there. Maybe she gets better guidance than you. But, we need somebody different. There must be somebody else on this roster who's been wronged by Queendom. Then get a backstage interview. Kayla Braxton is with Ilya Dragunov. And Kayla says, Ilya, he goes, Kayla, let me cut you off. I know what you're going to ask. You're going to ask about what happened at Cyber Sunday with Montez Ford. And quite frankly, I don't want to talk about Montez Ford because I value integrity in this sport. And I could come out here and I could, throw all the blame onto LA Knight for not catching Montez Ford's foot on the ropes. But quite frankly, LA Knight took an attack So I don't blame him for not being in the right space of mind, because any normal man who takes a torpedo Moscow from the Mad Dragon won't be seeing clearly. But Caleb, it's nice because Adam Pearce has gifted me an opportunity, because I will get another shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. When I win at Survivor Series for Team SmackDown, I will use my championship opportunity to face Montez Ford in a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I will win. And as for LA Knight, like I said, I don't blame him for what happened at Cyber Sunday. But if he knows what's best for him, he'll stay out of my way. And we just hear. And I walk Swerve, Bronco Nima, and Lucian Price, and Lord Bando. He goes, thousand speech, Mad Dragon. You know, bet you thought Cyber Sunday was going to be your night. You know, you were finally going to leave as the World Heavyweight Champion. But you didn't, Ilya. You stayed in here a loser. You know whose night it was at Cyber Sunday? Man. John Cena, he came back, you know. He was gifted this extra 2 months of his career. Guess who took that away? Ilya, you call yourself the Mad Dragon to say that you're the most dangerous man here on SmackDown. Everyone should fear the Tsar. Last I saw, you ain't no Swerve. Because it reminds me of when you stepped to Brock Lesnar. You know, how'd that end for you? Brock Lesnar put you down, unlike me. Swerve put down John Cena. And he just laughs and goes, you want to talk about, you know, Brock Lesnar? The difference between me and Brock Lesnar and you and John Cena is that I took the fight to Brock Lesnar and I earned the beast's respect. Whereas you, like a coward, resorted to cheap tactics to beat John Cena. And if we were to face off 1-on-1, it would be you, the next victim of the Mad Dragon. And Swerve just laughs. He goes, you know, we're teammates next weekend, but I don't see why we can't put this to the test next week. See you there. And he goes, oh, I will. So yeah, there's a fucking riot humper of a match scheduled for next week. It will be Ilya Dragunov taking on Swerve Scott. Hoo boy, hose me down. 81 rated match. Florence defeats Shantae Washington with a rain flow in 10:23. 85 for Florence, 57 for Shantae, 81 for the match, you know. This weird little, like, month and a half of Florence being, you know, the wrestler on TV and have bangers every week. You know. Yeah. That stuff is... yeah. It's coming to an end soon, as you can probably imagine. But Shantae was, like, the last person I had before, like, it became, like, weird anyway. So, yeah. Goes out with a bang. We then cut backstage and Mariah May is looking around, like, in the hallway. She's talking to random, like, security people or backstage people going, hey, have you seen a shiny trophy? You know, it says Tiffany Stratton, you know, women's division star. No? Okay. And she bumps into a cleaner, like, mopping the floor. She goes, oh, sorry, sir. He goes, oh, no, don't be apologizing. It's all on me. Greetings and salutations. How may I help you? And she just sort of looks at him confused and goes, Keith Lee? He goes, yes, it is I. I'm here on behalf of employment seekers looking for a new role since I was forced out of my job as a professional wrestler here in WWE. How may I be of your service today, Miss... She goes, May? Miss May, how can I help you? He goes, well, I was wondering if you'd seen, you know, a trophy laying around here. You know, it was stolen from Tiffany Stratton last week. And I goes, if I do recall correctly, I did see something big and shiny that may have resembled the trophy that you are describing to me. She goes, great. Well, where was it? I mean, somebody had thrown it in a dumpster. She went, what? Why? Who? Did you see who? I went, no, It just caught my eye. I thought it was rather perplexing that such a fine assortment of metal could be discarded with such vigorous disrespect. She goes, great, so I've got to go dumpster diving for Tiffany. And she goes, well, if you really want your trophy back, it would appear that way, Miss May. And she goes, can't you get it? And he just scoffs and goes, lady, I'm a janitor, not a garbage man. And then Keith Lee walks off to leave, and he shoulder checks another person, and this time it's Bronson Steiner. And he goes, oh, sorry, sir, my... And then when he sees who it is, he sort of stops. Bad. Look at you, Keith. Mopping floors around here, while I'm still out there being a real star. Here on SmackDown. You know? But good outfit, though. Looks good on you. Loser. And he, like, knocks him over on the floor. Keith Lee just shakes his head as he's down. As Bronson Steiner. He has got a match later on tonight. So. Or does he? I'm not sure. He might have a match later on tonight. He either does, or I scrapped it. Those are the two options. Nancy Florence. She's making her way to her locker room when there, waiting outside, is Candice, Asuka, and Dakota. And Florence goes, do you mind? I'm trying to get to my locker room. And she goes, if we could just buy a couple of minutes of your time, like, but we'll leave. But don't get me wrong, you know. You're carrying around Money in the Bank briefcase, you know, that entitles you to a shot at the Women's World Championship whenever you see fit. But I suppose you don't ever really see fit around here on SmackDown because you got Io's running around with Queendom. And, you know, wherever she goes, they go, and you're always outnumbered. Must suck. You know? If only you could, have some allies by your side who could help even the numbers game out for you. And, you know, maybe help you become champion if you do them a solid and join the hypothetical War Games team. Florence just laughs and goes, listen, like, you're lucky that Tammy's been running her mouth to me over these last couple of weeks saying that, you know, it's going to be a danger if I try and cash in on EO. But she's in a War Games next weekend. I can't think of a better time to cash in than that, because she's going to be weakened. So surely that benefits me more than, you know, actually joining the team. And Candice just goes, I mean, I could think of a better time to cash in. And Florence goes, oh, really? Do tell. And then Candice opens the door and goes, we better do this somewhere more quiet. And then they all go into Florence's locker room. Seth Rollins comes out. He still has the visionary theme, you know, they're still doing the song. But he's less dancey. He's a little bit more serious. He goes, so last week, you know, another pawn of my creation, Solo Sikoa, won his first championship here in WWE. Now, you know, a year ago when I took Solo away and I turned him against his own bloodline who treated him terribly during his childhood, I was a visionary, I was a genius, and I still feel that way. But a year later, the monster that I created, my Frankenstein's monster, is running roughshod on SmackDown, and now everybody's paying for it. Pete Dunne, he paid for it. Bobby Fish, he paid for it. And I paid for it. Now you see, Solo, that's Samoan Spike, he's an ass kicker, he's no joke. As you saw last week when he defeated Pete Dunne to become the United States champion. But I can't be proud of that moment. Because I know what I have to do. I created Solo, and now I've got to be the one to take him out. And if he bleeds like he bled last week, I can kill it. At Survivor Series, it's gonna be me, one-on-one, with old Solo, for the United States Championship. Out comes Daniel Bryan. And he just goes, Seth, you're out here, preaching to these people and apologizing for creating a monster in Solo Sikoa. But trust me, it's not Solo Sikoa that you should be worried about creating. Because Solo, he's always going to be a Samoan savage. He's always going to be a monster. But Seth, I've got a specific problem to pick with you since you're back here. Because you are also responsible for bringing Buster Gates and the Revolution to SmackDown. And yes, I know they beat your ass last month and really embarrassed you, Seth. But now Buster's coming out here. He's coming up to me, the greatest wrestler in the world. I beat Okada, it's proven. And he seems to think he can hang with Daniel Bryan. So, Seth, since you're in the business of apologizing to these people about Solo, why don't you apologize to me about having to deal with Buster and the rest of those idiots in the Revolution? And Seth just sort of scratches his head and goes, I've already repented for that sin, Bryan, But if it's an apology you want, I'll give you an apology. I'm sorry, Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry that you've become so desperate for, I guess, acknowledgement around here. Reminds me of another guy I used to know, and he's not around on SmackDown anymore either. But you walk around here calling yourself the best in the world because you cheated to win a match at SummerSlam. Listen to me, Bryan. I'm the best in the world. Me. And I see your little young boy is looking at me funny. So how about it, kid? You want to put Bryan's lessons to the test? Me and you, Seth freaking Rollins, Miles Bourne, right now. So we get that match. Miles Bourne versus Seth Rollins. 74 for an 8-minute match. Miles gets a 29. That's perfectly fine. Seth does stomp him in 8 minutes and 2 seconds. 88 for Seth Rollins, not 29 for Miles Bourne. And yeah, big win. After the match, though, Seth is jumped by Solo Sikoa. And I imagine Bryan, he sort of, as soon as Solo jumps in the ring, he sort of like throws his hands up and just walks away like, well, I've got nothing to do with this. It's got nothing to do with me. And he sort of just walks up the ramp and leaves Seth to take the beating from Solo. When Nathan Fraser, he storms out from the back and he jumps on Solo's back. And Solo like throws him off. Seth super kick Solo, he staggers. Nathan Fraser super kick Solo, he staggers. Then they double super kick Solo and he falls through the ropes. And Nathan Fraser and Seth Rollins stand tall in the ring. Then come back to the Chase U classroom. When it is Morgan Thea and Shane who walk in. They go, God, we better not be late, Mr. Chase is going to be really angry if we're late. And then they open the door, and then the other half of the room, the well-behaved half of the classroom, is not in there. And Shane and someone goes, Mr. Chase, where's everybody else? And he goes, oh, they're not coming. Tonight's a day off for them. They get to go out and explore the sights. Get packed for our trip to Canada next week. He goes, oh, Thea goes, great. Oh, I love Canada. Last time we were in Canada, remember we went to Bret Hart's house? Well, how great was that? That was so great. He told me the sharpshooter and everything. Mr. Chase goes, you won't be going. And I always go, why? Well, because these classes are a little catch-up class. Because you've been skipping classes for the last few weeks. We've got homework overdue, assignments coming up. So, I guess we've got to repeat the same things I taught the people who were here on time 3 weeks ago, who aren't here tonight. And Because, well, that seems like, why are we getting punished? And then Miss J just gets in her face and goes, why are you getting punished? Why are you getting punished for skipping class? Oh, I wonder. You can't be that dumb, can you, Morgan? Well, as it so turns out, Tegan Knox and Piper Niven are in tag team action, and since they beat Haley and Hams 2 weeks ago because they had to step in because, neither of the ready-made Chase U tag teams were available, I guess it's going to have to be you two filling in tonight as the tag team representatives of Chase University. And Thea goes, what, against Tegan and Piper? I don't know if I'm ready for that, Mr. Chase. And he just goes, weird. You probably could have been if you'd have been here every week. So there's a weird, sort of a Chase U civil war brewing right now. They've got the rebels and the nerds, for lack of a better term. But yes, it will be Morgan and Thea having a step in as a tag team tonight because, Hams and Haley aren't here. Neither is Bodie because, they got a day off. They showed up every week. Then cut backstage. Nathan Fraser's walking down the hallway when Seth Keller goes, Nathan. Just silent goes, what are you doing? He goes, what do you mean, what am I doing, Seth? Because I don't need your help out there, okay? I just got burnt by what another guy had under my wing, okay? I don't need you getting involved in my business. Nathan goes, Seth, with all due respect, obviously, I owe my entire career to you. I wasn't getting involved in your business. Solo took me out as well. So taking him down is my business as well as yours. And then Buster, Nebo, and Rufus walk up to Seth. Like, he turns around and they're there. He goes, whoa, slow your roll there, freaking. I heard what you said out there, and boy, it was good, beating your ass all those months ago. And you come out to Daniel Bryan, and now Daniel Bryan's got a problem with us, and I'll put him down next week. 6-man tag team match. But I hear what you're saying. Last week you brought us in. It was Survivor Series last year, in fact. You brought us in for War Games. And then you dropped us like a bad habit. And then, a couple of months ago, I dropped you like a bad habit for that. So, in that aspect, freaking, I consider us even. So, if you ever need the numbers game against Daniel Bryan and his cronies, hell, is the season of forgiving. I'll see what we can do. Seth goes, yeah, thanks, Buster, but I don't need your help. I'm going out there with Survivor Series and I'm facing Solo alone. And he storms off, leaving Nathan Fraser and the Revolution standing behind. 70 rated match, another one. Only goes, apparently, believe it or not, I've never done this straight up singles match before of LA Knight beating Oro Mensah. Montez Ford's lackey, who's there to take pins, has never actually had a singles match against the person who Montez Ford has been fighting for months. But yeah, he does win. 7 minutes and 4, Gravy Train. 85 for LA Knight, 66 for Oro Mensah. After the match, LA Knight takes the mic, goes, let me talk to you. First and foremost, let me say, Ilya Dragunov, tough luck, buddy. You brought a good fight. You probably should have won. But all LA Knight, his head is elsewhere. But you talked earlier on tonight about how you want to win Survivor Series and take the title from Montez Ford. But I've got a newsflash for you, buddy. That won't be happening. Because LA Knight has made a vow since SummerSlam when Montez Ford stole that World Heavyweight Championship from me that I'm going to steam in there, I'm going to drop Montez Ford's ass with a BFT, and I'm going to take that World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah. Montez Ford comes out. Goes, LA, how many weeks of the same promos, let me talk to you. Yeah, LA Knight, the same thing every single week. Help Bianca and I, we're more experimental than that. But you do make an interesting proposition, LA, since I've beaten your ass time after time after time. it's getting quite boring. I feel for Io. Okay, but Bianca's going to beat her ass in War Games. But before then, when she was beating Candice LeRae's ass every single week, because, babe, I heard what you said at the start of the show, and, I got receipts if you want to go bar for bar with Tez, the Golden Prophet. Okay. So, here's what I will say, LA. I'll give you one more shot. Do or die. Montez Ford, the World Heavyweight Champion, the Golden Prophet, defending against this dummy in the ring. At Survivor Series, Toronto, Canada. Do or die. You lose, LA Knight, your dreams, they're gone. What do you say? LA Knight laughs. He goes, what do I say? I say, you're a dummy if you think I'm going to say anything other than, yeah. But let me just say one more thing, because there's one way I want to ensure that you and LA Knight, for the first time ever, we're going to have a one-on-one match, no interference. So, your little buddy there, Oro Mensah, this dummy who I've just beaten his ass, you pick him up, and you either leave him behind, or you bring him to Toronto, and we'll hang his ass above the ring, inside of a shark cage. Yeah. So, yeah. Do or die, or Mensah in a shark cage. I mean, we've got the shark cages for War Games. You may as well use them for something else. So, Oro Mensah's going to be hanging. I don't know if I can practically hang it up there and then get it down and put it on the stage for War Games. So it will probably just be on the stage like it is for War Games. But yes, it will be LA Knight and Montez Ford. Do or die. If Montez Ford wins, LA Knight can never get another shot as long as he's still the champion. Going down in Toronto at Survivor Series. Queendom. Io's, she's angry. She's shouting in Japanese. Utami shouting back at her in Japanese. Tegan and Piper are just they're in their gear because they've got that tag match coming up next. But they're just looking confused. They don't know what the fuck's going on. The parents are arguing and they can't understand what's being said. And Cammy walks in. She goes, well, what's all the ruckus? And then Io and Utami both shout at her in Japanese. She goes, well, I get it. Okay, look, sorry I'm late. I had to take a phone call. But man, War Games, I'm not threatening it, so you go shouldn't be. Because I've got contacts, as the evil translator of the Joshi Judas, I fall under what we here at WWE consider a manager's license. You may remember Paul Heyman used it a couple of weeks ago. So, I know we've got no friends here on SmackDown, but I don't think that should be an issue. You two focus on your tag team match coming up next. And if you win, maybe next week, you can bring more gold to Queendom and you can take those women's tag team championships from those other two idiots, Saray and Zelina. And as for you two, and she speaks to them in Japanese, translates what they're saying, and then they agree. And Tegan and Piper, of course, was looking and go, what was that about? Just there seems to be a bit of a disagreement regarding, because it's War Games, we've got to have a advantage match next week. And we don't know who representing the other team's going to be in, but both Io and Utami want to be in. So, Asuka and Bianca have got to face each other tonight, so there could be bigger problems going on. 78. Yes. What a match. Piper and Tegan do win. Piper Niven pins Morgan with a Michinoku driver in 8 minutes and 2. 43 for Thea Hale. 78 for Morgan. 72 for Piper and a 78 for Tegan Knox. Who boy, that should be, a bit higher for Piper. I don't understand why. Oh, her gimmick skin stale. I understand why Morgan's outscoring though. Her pops, not that good, and her stats aren't that good. Oh, well, they're decent, I guess. They're not exceptionally good because I did nerf her and Hams because they weren't actually technically regens. They were created by me. So I didn't want to make them too OP, but apparently I didn't do a good enough job. So, I might have to look at that one. we then see Keith Lee. He's mopping up the floor again. And he's mopping the floor, he's leaving the floor away. He's got his headphones on, he's whistling along to whatever music he listens to. And we just, off camera, hear like a thud as someone like falls over. He goes, "Oh, good heavens, are you okay?" And Tiffany's there on the floor. She goes, "What are you know, the floor's all wet. What is it, your first day on the job?" And he goes, "Well, as a matter of fact, Miss Stratton, it is." She goes, "Keith Lee? Didn't your ass get fired? Okay, and now you're walking around here as a janitor? Okay, well, good luck, because I need to go talk to Adam Pearce, because this is unacceptable, so if you think this is your new gig, you know, better luck next time." And Keith, he's all sad. Garbage first day as a janitor, you know. And he's probably not going to get a call back, you know, because Tiffany, she's very complainy. And then cut to Gorilla. Carmelo Hayes is there. He's getting ready. Trick Williams is next to him. He goes, "Listen, Trick. Because tonight it's Trick Mello gang for life, you know. Because Trick Mello McGang together in that Survivor Series tag team match, you know, that spells disaster for Team Raw. Okay?" And he goes, I promise, Trick, you know, tonight we're going to beat the tag team champions. That propels us back in the hunt, you know. I know the Creeds are next in line, but we got next. And Trick goes, "Mello, it's a big couple of months for me, you know. Trick Mello gang together is on the rise. It's not just Mello with Trick. It's Trick and Mello together. So, tonight, I'm going to get you on that team with me. We're going to go to Survivor Series. We're going to win at Survivor Series. Both of us are going to survive. And then think about it. You can get us those tag team championships with that championship opportunity that you get for surviving. And me, I can get my rematch for the United States Championship, but it won't be with old Pete Dunne. It'll be with Solo now." And Mello goes, "Hey, Trick, why do I have to use my opportunity on the tag team titles? Why can't I try and get my World Heavyweight Championship back and you can get us the tag team titles?" And Trick goes, "We'll talk about it later, Mello. Oh, come on. Let's go whip some tag team champion ass." That tag match is up next. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against Trick and Mello. If Trick and Mello win, Hayes will take the spot of either Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn on Team SmackDown. And an 89 rated match. That won't be the case, because Kevin Owens pins Trick Williams. He pins Trick with a stunner in 18-18. Trick takes the pin. 87 for Sami Zayn, 86 for Kevin Owens, 94 for Carmelo Hayes, and a 74 for Trick Williams. And yeah, it looks like Trick Mello gang is not going to be united at Survivor Series, because it's going to be Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Ilya Dragunov, Swerve Scott, and just Trick Williams. Hard day for Carmelo Hayes here. Next week, though, is a big week. It's the go-home show for Survivor Series already, and we've got some huge matches announced, including this. Ilya Dragunov and Swerve Scott, two members of Team SmackDown, two of the hottest stars here on SmackDown right now, are going to do battle one-on-one in what sure is to be an absolute fucking humper of a bout. On top of that, we've got a 6-man tag team match. You know, Buster Gates said it earlier on, but it was the Revolution against Daniel Bryan in 6-man tag. We didn't quite know what that means, but apparently it will be Daniel Bryan teaming with his protege Miles Bourne and the new United States Champion Solo Sikoa, after, you know, the weird interaction earlier on tonight, where they will face Buster Gates, Nebo Barnes, and Rufus Hamilton of the Revolution. And Women's Tag Team Championship action is official. Tegan Knox and Piper Niven are the next in line. Can Queendom's prophecy of capturing more gold be fulfilled when they face Selena Vega and Saray of My Wrestling Academia on next week's show? Plus, we don't know who's in it yet, but we will have the War Games, you know, advantage match on next week's show. And speaking of War Games and Survivor Series, that card's already starting to take huge shape with this big, massive United States Championship match as Seth Rollins challenges his former, you know, muscle, the new champion Solo Sikoa, to a United States Championship match. Seth has said no Nathan Fraser out there. He doesn't need to call upon the Revolution if he needs them. It's going to be just mano a mano. Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa. And speaking of man v man, with no outside interference, LA Knight, it's do or die against Montez Ford. One last shot at capturing his World Heavyweight Championship, or Mensa will be inside a shark's cage to prevent interference in that bout. And speaking of cages, War Games returns to Survivor Series as Queendom and a fifth member of their team, to be announced, will face off against Asuka, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Bianca Belair, and a fifth member of their team to be announced in the match beyond next Saturday in Toronto. 94 rated main event. Asuka and Bianca, the match is still on. They've sort of been hanging around all night. I imagine they probably would have been glaring at each other because we announced this last week, and it's got a lot more meaning now this week in just 7 days. But there is no winner because all the members of Queendom run out and attack both women. Because why wouldn't they? War Games is coming up. Both these women are on the War Games team. 4-on-2 attack of Asuka and Bianca Belair. Candice LeRae would come out to make the save. Much to her chagrin, she has to save Bianca as well as Asuka. As much as she may want to leave Bianca to get attacked. She takes the chair to the back of Piper Niven and Tegan. But in the end she is taken down as well, and she is still outnumbered. Dakota Kai, I guess, not fancying being out here, because she's still a bit upset, let's say, in her feels about losing at Cyber Sunday. But eventually she does run out. But it's late, she gets no music, but she does run out. But it's 4v4, and Queendom still have the upper hand. That's when Florence does storm out. She's got her briefcase in her hand. She runs in. She smacks Tegan, knocks him in the head with the briefcase. She smacks Piper Niven on the back with the briefcase. She eventually falls out of the ring. Utami takes the rain flow, and Io retreats up the ramp. And Florence grabs the mic. And she goes, "Oh, Cammy, for 2 weeks now you've been coming at me, taunting me, basically begging me not to cash in on Io Sky because apparently I'm going to be at risk of being victimized by Queendom. Well, how the tables have turned now, love. Because if these girls need a new fifth member for War Games, you're on. And Io, I saw you and Utami, you couldn't quite decide which one of the two of you would be in the advantage match next week for War Games." And she sort of looks down at the briefcase. And she holds the briefcase up and goes, "Well, allow me to make it for you. Because the team with the advantage at War Games will be the team featuring the WWE Women's World Champion. And as the possessor of the briefcase, I'll leave my team in the back. No members of Queendom are allowed out at ringside either. Me and you for the Women's World Championship. Babe." She slams the briefcase down. What an ending. Florence is the fifth member of War Games. But not only that, next week she's cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase. Pre-announced. It's going to be Florence against Io Sky for the Women's World Championship, with the winner also securing the advantage in War Games. Hoo boy. I can barely wait. 95 rated show. And what a show it was, This is what I mean. SmackDown had a lot of shit to cram into 2 weeks. That, I can't even find time for funny-ass Tony D skits and shit like that. But next week shaking up to be quite possibly the best ever episode of SmackDown television. You got that Women's World title match. You got Swerve versus Ilya. You got a Women's Tag title match. You've got that 6-man tag. And Survivor Series is shaping up to be one hell of a show. But before then, we do actually have Velocity up next. And that will have a Cruiserweight title match on it as Axiom challenges Young Sensei. Heat kicks off with, the chemistry. The chemistry fucked it. We were a whisker away from the God Kyle O'Reilly banging out another blue-rated match. This time I have an NXT talent in RKJ. And he would have if they had chemistry, because he still scores an 83 because he is the God. I recently inquired, by the way, for those of you who aren't in the Discord, about how I could make Kyle O'Reilly the God. An actual gimmick for him without making him actually ethereal. But yeah. He is the God. That is him. 64 rated trios match here. As the Mexicals, they won last week by complete fluke because I think it was Angelico. He's after bicep rip, which sounded more painful than it actually was. By the way, he's only out for it said something days. I can't remember how many exactly it was, but it wasn't even 2 months. So yeah, he'll be back soonish. But yeah, I guess I've got to run with the Mexicals, which actually I'm perfectly fine with considering that LA Extreme are the champions. So that seems like a natural feud, which is actually what RJ City, the Velocity GM, is going to say here. The Mexicals having a new lease of life here on Velocity, and it's going to actually be next week, the first Trios Championship defense of the LA Extreme, as they take on the Mexicals. And speaking of title matches, the main event gets a 71. For a Sensei match, that's pretty good. Sensei does retain here against Axiom in 12:33 for Gomu Gomu no Boomerang. But it's important to note that Sensei's truly tested here for the first time. Axiom's wrestling like he needs to win, basically. He needs that Cruiserweight Championship, but Sensei, I guess, had the upper hand, and in the end was just plot armor strikes, because that's what we're going to call it every time Sensei wins a match against, let's face it, a better talent. Because Sensei, as fun as the Kid Bandit Young Sensei gimmick is, it is a gimmick. They are a gimmick wrestler. So, it has been weird me putting them over like Axiom and Daniel Garcia, and I think Drew Gulak. But we'll just call it plot armor. That's an easy way to explain it all away. But yes, that ends Velocity. That gets us a 70 rated show. Doesn't really matter. What matters more is what you thought of SmackDown, because SmackDown to me was hella packed this week, and next week's is looking even more packed. Like I said in the intro, I think SmackDown is my favorite show right now, especially after tonight, because there are a lot of people with a lot, for lack of a better term, their fingers are in a lot of pies. Because let's take Daniel Bryan, for example. He's now got issues with Seth. He's still got issues with the Revolution. He's got fucking the Mars Born stuff. He's got apparently some kind of issue with Solo, or he's now in that orbit as well. And Seth himself's got all of those, and Ilya's got LA Knight and Swerve, and yeah, they're all over the place. So it's my favourite show to book, quite frankly. I shouldn't show bias, but I do. I think I am a SmackDown boy right now. But we do have a pretty stacked episode of Raw. Me saying I'm a SmackDown boy doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying Raw and ECW, because I am also enjoying a lot of the stuff on those shows, including next week's episode of Raw, which is going to be a banger, because Cody does have to find a fifth member of his Survivor Series team. It's going to be Christian, Drew, and Imperium against Cody, The New Day, and a fifth person. So yeah, I guess find out who that is and more when we come live from Montreal on Monday. See you then.